What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Yankees Avenue Show on the Yankees Avenue YouTube channel. As usual, I'm Patrick Hennessy. That's Dan Rourke. Dan, how we doing today?
Doing good, man. Doing good. It's a big week, I will say, to the viewers at home because it's that time of year, my friends. My annual off-season blueprint will be releasing later this week. So I want to give everybody watching this a notice that you can expect that in a few days. I cooked up something good. I have the Yankees all fixed up, ready to go. Make me GM, Pat. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Can't complain. It's October, bro, and it's sad, but also exciting at the same time because unlike you, I still enjoy watching postseason baseball. But then at the end of the day, it's kind of like, yo, I wish the Yankees were here. But bro, life's good. The weather's getting a little chilly. We got the leaves falling. And we have some fun stuff to talk about today, right?
Yeah, for sure. I will say, on topic of the postseason, I haven't watched too much, but I am quite pleased that already Rays and Jays, they're bounced. They got swept. And as we're recording this, the Orioles are on the verge of getting swept in the DS. So I'll tell you this. If that's the case,
Yeah.
say, okay, Rays, Jays are out, O's get bounced, and let's say the Twins can beat the Astros, then I'll tell you this. I will probably watch the rest of the playoffs because then I'm kind of, in a good spot regarding teams I don't want to win, not being in. So,
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna talk about the postseason a lot more in topic number four.
yeah.
There's a lot to go in depth about, but yeah, as of right now, I'm very pleased with what we've had so
Yeah.
far. It's a little bit of a shame because I feel like we haven't had like that many close games, like close, thrilling games, but like there's a long way to go still. But yeah, let's get into topic number one here. Let's talk about the Athletic releasing some early offseason predictions for the Yankees, and they have the Yankees making two, not one, but two big free agent splashes. Plus a trade. They have Cody Bellinger signing to a 6-year, $150 million deal, which I feel like is a deal pretty similar to what we expected.
Yep.
We expect Cody Bellinger to kind of get this offseason. And they have also the Yankees going out and signing Yamamoto to a $200 million deal. Kind of wild. And then they also have the Yankees making a trade for Brendan Donovan of the Cardinals. Not really a name that like jumps out too much, but I'm pretty sure he's a outfielder.
I got a lot to say about Brendan Donovan. Maybe I'll take
Do
it
you
from
know?
here.
Do you know a lot about him?
Yeah, I do, because he's actually, before I read anything to do with this, he was a part of my offseason blueprint. So let's just get into it, because I'll give my thoughts on this. This is actually, on a surface level, pretty kind of similar to what I will be showcasing later this week in my blueprint. Real quick on Cody Bellinger, I'm actually not as gung-ho crazy for him as I was a little bit earlier in the year, mainly because, I mean, if you look at the expected stats, he is quite outperforming those. I mean, not that he would be as bad as he was with LA like the last couple of years, but I don't think he's as good of a hitter as he has shown so far with the Cubs. Bottom line is, though, the Yankees need to make a splash, and Bellinger would be a splash. So in that regard, I would certainly be excited. Yamamoto, we've talked a little bit about him. We know Brian Cashman was in attendance for one of his 2 no-hitters this past year in Japan. Dude's a stud. Has won back-to-back MVPs, back-to-back Cy Youngs, or the Japanese equivalent of a Cy Young. Has had pretty much stats better than Masahiro Tanaka's was before his posting year in 2014. ERA in the low ones, whip below 1. Best pitcher in Japan, and he's only 25 years old. You lock him up on probably a 7-year deal, even if that doesn't pay off right away in 2024, 2025, when things are finally right in Yankee land, he'll still be in the prime of his career. And I really do think if there's a lock for this offseason, Yamamoto's one. The other one is some sort of trade with the Cardinals. And, Brendan Donovan, do not sell this guy short. First of all, position-wise, he plays, I don't want to say primarily third base, because he really plays all over. He plays third base, second base, has played some first base, some shortstop, and also plays the outfield as well. Left-handed hitter, strikes out only about 14% of the time. I want to compare this to Gleyber Torres real quick, who we'll talk about later, because in my blueprint, I compare him a lot to Gleyber Torres. I don't want to spoil anything here, but you know how Gleyber in this past season had a 124 or 123 WRC plus in one of the better years of his career. Brendan Donovan, for his career in 2 seasons since 2022, 124 WRC plus. So he's been just as good offensively as Gleyber, but from the left side of the plate while playing multiple positions and striking out right around the same, which props to Gleyber. He didn't really strike out a lot this year. So pretty much, like I said, he's Gleyber, but from the left side, more versatile. Do not undersell how big an acquisition this guy would be. Also, he's under control for 5 seasons. He's under through 2028, the Yankees would have him for if they got this deal done with the Cardinals. And the reason why I say a deal is going to happen one way or another with the Cardinals, whether it's Donovan or Dylan Carlson, who else is there? Nolan Gorman. Yankees have, you could say, expendable starting pitching, which is something the Cardinals need. The Cardinals have a surplus of left-handed hitting. So something's going to go down in one way or another. I pray to God, Pat, it's Brendan Donovan. As for the question of will this be a sufficient offseason, Bellinger, Yamamoto, Donovan, I would say so. There's more moves that need to be done. I would prefer Soto over Bellinger. But I think if you're a Yankee fan and this happens and you're upset, then we're just, I feel like, in my opinion, naturally miserable, to be honest. I don't know where you're going to go with this, but that would be a good offseason. It would.
Yeah, I mean, hypothetically, if this is what the Yankees offseason comes down to, and those are the three big moves, I don't think I'd necessarily say I'd be upset, but I still wouldn't be satisfied. But that's not knocking any of these moves. I think it just goes to show like the state the Yankees are currently in, and these three pretty big moves like still don't move the needle for me. Truly believing in the 2024 team, right? So I don't think that being disappointed with it would necessarily be a knock on these moves. I think it's just to show where the Yankees are right now. On Bellinger, I think I kind of stand with you where I was a lot higher on him this season or going into this season when it was more of a short-term sample size we were looking at because, like you said, the expected numbers aren't great. So let's say they acquired him at the deadline and then he comes right back down to earth. Who cares, right? Because you only have him for a couple months. But if you're signing Cody Bellinger to a 6-year deal, it screams to me Carlos Rodon. It screams to me like this has the potential to go really, really bad, especially because you look at like he's probably been bad, like 2 out of the last 3 years. And then he goes to Chicago and then kind of rejuvenates himself a little bit. But I don't think he's done enough to make me truly believe in a 6-year, $150 million deal. And like you said, like 1,000 times I'd rather go after Soto. Soto would make me satisfied after this all season. And that's just my own personal bias. But obviously, yeah, Yamamoto, $200 million is a steep price for, I guess, an unproven commodity at this point. We haven't seen him pitch at the major league level. But if that's what it takes to get the job done, like, bro, whatever, it's not my money. And as far as Donovan goes, like I said, I don't know much about him. And that's just my own ignorance. But if like all the stats you're looking at, bro, Dan, I trust you. Where it's like, yo, if Dan's doing his due diligence on a player and he's really hyping him up as like being thrilled if the Yankees were to acquire him, I trust that. But it's difficult for me to like let's say the Yankees acquire Brendan Donovan tomorrow and I get the alert on my phone. I'm not going to start freaking out being like, oh my God, 2024.
Right. It's not blockbuster.
Is game, bro. It's not blockbuster, but it's like, oh, that's a cute move where maybe we see some high upside from it and Brendan Donovan can become an impact player for the Yankees next year. But overall, if these are the three moves, yes, the Yankees improve significantly as a team and they have the potential to have a really solid run next year if everything goes right. But I don't think that these three moves fix the New York Yankees.
No, fair enough. I hear you're saying on that. And when I say if you're not happy with these moves, you're a miserable Yankee fan, I more so just mean in terms of splash. Because if you go out and get Bellinger, you get Yamamoto plus Donovan, that is significant. Money being added to the payroll, like those are moves that, all right, you're trying to change things up for sure. We don't know what the outcome will for sure be. Of course, nothing's certain. On Donovan, pretty much, like if you want to like, encapsulate it all into one notion of why it'd be so good, it basically gets you your first true leadoff hitter for the next 5 years. Your first true leadoff hitter since I guess you could say prime DJ. This guy, since the start of his career, once again, 2022, has the 12th highest OBP in baseball at 381. And once again, from the left side, all the things I was mentioned, Donovan would be legit. I'll tell you what would have me least excited.
Too.
Yeah, bro, everything about it is just perfect. But Bellinger is the only part of this where I would not be as hyped because I want Soto very badly. Now, I do acknowledge that there's a world the Padres, and a very strong possibility, they're not down to trade him, no matter how much we entice them with an offer, which I'll tell you this right now, the Yankees are going to have to overpay if they want to get Soto. I'm seeing a lot of these trades, with the trade simulator on that one website, Baseball Values or whatever, which I respect the hell out of. It's actually a good site and often very accurate. But there was one deal, I swear to God, bro, it added up to where like the Yankees could have traded Ben Rourke and another prospect for Soto. I'm like, yo, relax. No, not even are you going to have to trade proper value, which is way more than that. You're going to have to overpay because you need to entice them. Yo, let's make this trade. They don't have to give away Juan Soto. So, anyways, acknowledging that's a possibility, yeah, you do go out and pivot to a Cody Bellinger. Soto's an evil empire move. Bellinger's not. Money-wise, sure. Like, that's a big free agent splash. I would be obviously much more excited if, we got Soto instead of Bellinger. But no, overall, man, I would be especially with what you can do, because the free agent market isn't all that great, and I think a lot of it's going to be revolving around trades as well, one of them being Donovan, maybe another. I would give this a very, very strong B+, A- offseason. Probably B+, A being Soto, B+ if you get Bellinger.
Well, I think also it would really matter what the supplemental moves would be, right? Because like I would want to see like some small other moves to kind of just see how else they could like
Kiermaier.
slightly, yeah, something like that. But I'm gonna be honest, like people might call me crazy for this, bro. Going into next season, I would prefer if it only came down to these two guys, I would prefer Kiermaier over Bellinger, just because I have such a fear that Bellinger is going to stop the Yankees from going out and getting somebody who can actually like truly impact the outfield over the next couple of years, whether that's a Juan Soto, whoever else becomes available in the next 1, 2, 3 years in free agency or in the trade market.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bellinger really hurts them from doing so. And bro, I could be totally wrong when I say that I have such low expectations for the next few years of Cody Bellinger, but based on his track record of his career so far, he is the most streaky, inconsistent hitter that maybe we have ever seen. And just mechanics wise, he needs such a strong coaching staff behind him. And we saw him go to Chicago where the lights aren't as bright. I just don't know if the Yankees are a great fit for what Bellinger needs.
Well, so with that in mind, him being a great fit, I've heard through like the John Boy sources that Bellinger apparently was down for half a season in New York to get traded to kind of get his feet wet, see what it's like. Apparently, not so much long term. So I'm not even sure this is actually going to happen on his end either.
Well, that's what we said, bro. That's what we said during the deadline, right? Like you trade for Bellinger, and then you're able to give him like a 2 month trial. It's like a free
Right.
trial,
For
bro,
him as
and
well.
see like if he can. Yeah,
Yeah. I'll say in terms of the handling the bright lights and his Dodger tenure, you know, if you're somebody who wants Bellinger, you can go to the side of one, he has handled the bright lights. When he was hitting, I mean, he won an MVP there. He had some big postseason moments, so I don't think that's necessarily an issue. The shoulder injury was a big deal, which the Dodgers apparently greatly mishandled, and it's not just something we hear out of the Boris camp, which is his agency, I believe. A bunch of other sources as well. The Dodgers did not handle his shoulder injury well, really, at all. So knowing that he's healthy now, I combine with the fact, like, all right, now, like, this dude was hitting so bad. And it was, like, people know how bad he struggled, but if you actually go look, I mean, bro, like a 47 WRC plus. Like, he was putting up WRC pluses in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. It was crazy how bad he was. But now he's bounced back. The expected stats, though, like we were saying, they really show he's outperforming those. Now, once again, doesn't mean he's a bag of balls like he was the last 2 years in L.A., but I'm with you on Bellinger. Scares me, dude. It does. I would get excited if we got him because it is a big splash, and the Yankees, one way or another, are going to reinvest into this franchise, obviously, because they need people to buy tickets again, bro. I mean, season ticket sales right now are down dramatically, and what do you do to get those back up? Big free agent splashes, big trades, whatever it may be. So I wouldn't be shocked if they kind of make the move just to make the move, which in a way felt a little bit like what they did with Rodon last year. So I like that comparison. The contract would be almost identical. I mean, right around that 6/160 or 5/150, whatever it may be. The contract could turn disastrous because God forbid he does regress back to that guy, or not even just that bad, or league average hitter he might be, or a little bit below. I mean, that'd be devastating. And then does that prevent you from going out and getting a Juan Soto in free agency next year? Not talking about the trade. So I would be on paper pumped about that because that's all right. Yankees are like they're going to spend some money this offseason. I think we can agree on that. And like if we're a fan base worrying about what they'll do this offseason, one way or another, and I've said this before, like there will be change. They're going to do something. How's it going to work out though? The one move that concerns me is Bellinger. So yeah.
yeah. So you'd agree where if it came down to these two guys, like you're taking Kiermaier over Bellinger.
Ooh, well, so that's tough though because I believe, I mean, Yanks Ave viewers are all diehards, so I'll kind of just give away my blueprint. I have them getting both. Well, I have Soto over Bellinger, but I think the Yankees are going to go out and they're going to get that big bopper in either Belly or Soto in the addition of also Kiermaier as well. So ideally, you go out and get both. If I'm picking between the two, I mean, just player, I still would go with Bellinger, but I'll just leave it at the contract does concern.
There's no bad one-year deals, bro.
No, I want Kiermaier bad. It's nothing to do with that, but also Kiermaier isn't, because think about it then, if we're talking this little offseason prediction, Bellinger, Yamamoto, Donovan, you take out Bellinger, replace him with Kiermaier. I mean, I like Donovan a lot, but he's not the big bopper, the 1A to Aaron Judge, the way a Soto or Belly would be. So, I mean, they got to make a sort of big splash. It might just end up costing them if they get Bellinger too much, which that's another thing that concerns me. I could very well see a team going way past that 160 figure, bro. There's going to be a team out there, bro. I would not be shocked. It gives them close to 200, if not more, which I don't know.
Yeah, no, last thing I'll say on this is it's funny because every single offseason conversation that we have, whether it's like predictions or wants and needs, it always comes back to Soto, bro. Every single conversation, it always comes back to Juan Soto, and it just goes to show how he is the piece. Now, whether or not the Yankees are, and I think the Yankees are aware of that. Like they've liked Soto for a very long time. They tried to trade for him when he was with the Nats. It just didn't work out. It's just going to come down to whether or not the Padres are willing to deal him, bro.
Yeah.
And we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, let's get to topic number 2. Last episode we kind of touched on the Yankees incoming audit and how Boone was going to remain as manager and our thoughts and feelings on that. Come to find out, bro, I think the news came out the day after our episode dropped. There's no external organization coming in. Apparently the Yankees are doing like a self-reflection kind of internal audit. Did you see that?
Well, yeah, so I heard that what's actually happening is there is a company coming in to audit them, but they are giving the Yankees their results and their findings, and they're kind of just saying, like, the Yankees are the ones evaluating the results, not this outside company, which kind of confuses me a little bit, so I'm coming to conclusion, bro. I'm kind of putting that to the side. Whatever comes out of it, comes out of it. I'm done kind of trying to understand what it really means. Because also, the Red Sox apparently went under the exact same thing in the last couple of years, too, which doesn't exactly get me all that hyped. So maybe the audit is a bunch of BS. I guess. I don't know. I don't understand it, even if it's not.
Yeah, regardless, Aaron Boone is coming back as Yankees manager next year. And according to John Heyman, bro, the Yankees are requesting him to be a little bit tougher and instill a little bit more discipline. This is really, really weird to me because we talked about this last episode, same exact conversation kind of, where I felt like bringing in that external company to evaluate the Yankees, but they're not going to suggest any personnel changes, whatever. I viewed it as teaching an old dog new tricks. That's kind of what I referred to it as. And I feel like by suggesting this to Aaron Boone, which, bro, if it is the case, I think is absolutely insane. By suggesting to Boone that, like, he needs to instill a little bit more discipline and be a little bit tougher, that's not who he is. That's not what you hired him to be. If that's what you're expecting out of your manager, Aaron Boone's not that guy.
Yeah.
And that's why it's puzzling to me that the Yankees are trying to like form Aaron Boone into like this robot manager where it's just like he fits every single aspect of what they might view as like good in a manager, and I just don't think it's realistic. Aaron Boone's not a tough guy. We've seen from the outside like there's not a lot of discipline there, and now after 7 years for the Yankees to kind of be like, yo, Boone, this is who we want you to turn into, rather than being like, yo, maybe this just isn't working out and let's go see if there's other candidates who do fit those criteria. That's what bothers me, because now it's just like, yo, we're riding with Boone and just trying to mold him into whatever we want.
Yeah, I think it's in part I think it's more so like the Yankees overall like what they see in Boone, and whether you want to agree with that or not, fine, but they just want to make him a little bit tougher. And I think this report's hilarious, to be honest. Like I guess I see what they're saying in a sense, but also you don't want the dude to fake some sort of personality. And kind of what you were saying, but I thought it was hilarious. Pete Simonetti over at NYY News, or NYY Underground now, he said his quote was hilarious. He's like, you hired the Muffin Man, you get the Muffin Man, which is hilarious and true. Like, this is the guy you brought on. This is the guy you should expect to manage your team. For me, it doesn't mean crap, doesn't mean jack shit, because what I've been saying this whole time over the past year, I don't care if he is the Muffin Man or if he's the toughest motherfucker of all time. The Yankees roster wasn't good enough this year, and unless they address the actual concerns that this team has and where they need to improve, it's not going to matter who the manager is. So, while it has an impact, and, you know, sure, little things like Carlos Rodon and the discipline situation, how he shows up Matt Blake, Boone says, oh, can't discipline him because it's the end of the year, and just, you know, little other things here and there, which I'm sure we're not even aware of necessarily that go on behind the scenes. I'm sure he could be a little bit tougher, and I acknowledge that, but he's not my concern. He really, really isn't, and I think part of it is just in general with managers in the game today. I don't think they serve that much of a purpose, which is why anytime somebody blames their season on the manager, which pretty much every fan base does, we probably would see it if we were talking to every fan base that just got eliminated from the playoffs, blame it on the manager, right? Oftentimes, it's just the roster wasn't good enough, or say you had some bad luck, whatever it may be. I'll say it again. I don't think Boone will be why the 2024 Yankees don't go where they're supposed to go. It'll ultimately fall on Brian Cashman and the rest of the team. I know you're going to say that the manager is a part of that, but I'm so far removed from that mindset that I don't even know if I really agree with that, honestly, at all anymore. I don't think the manager serves any role besides to talk to the media and, yeah, honestly, get along with the players. Like, You bring it, say Joe,
No,
like
I
Joe
know, but
Girardi, right? A lot of people say if Girardi, they shouldn't have fired Girardi then if this is what you wanted, a more tougher manager. Because remember, that's why they got rid of him. Girardi was to coddle the players a little more. Had that incident with Gary Sanchez where he called him out publicly. Yankees didn't like that, and that was in August of 17. Apparently, from that point forward, the Yankees knew Brian Cashman knew this guy's gone. We're getting a new manager after the year. I don't think Joe Girardi would have led this team to a World Series. I really don't, because the players weren't good enough. And that's. And I'm not saying that's the end-all, be-all. You do, sure, need a manager. There's outside sources, supplemental factors that go into this whole thing. But it's so hard for me to focus on that when there's so many more issues around the rest of the team.
yeah, I think you're just discrediting a little bit like the impact that the manager does have. Like, sure, like the main goal of a manager, I guess, is to kind of just be like a figurehead, and treat the media nicely and be like a clubhouse camaraderie
Like a
guy.
PR
But also,
director,
dude, they're
basically.
making sure, but I mean, let's not deny the fact Aaron Boone's making bullpen decisions. He's making the lineups. Whether people want to believe it or not, Aaron Boone gets suggested a lineup, right? Like the analytics guys will crunch numbers together and suggest Boone a lineup. But bro, at the end of the day, Aaron Boone submits the lineup he wants to submit. And also, bro, Brian Cashman isn't calling Aaron Boone in the eighth inning of a playoff game, being like, "Yo, throw in Holmes." No, Boone is making in-game decisions. And that's a big deal, right? But that's neither here nor there. Just my issue with it is I don't like the fact that, kind of like you said, bro, you hired the Muffin Man, you get the Muffin Man. I
Pete
don't like how
Simonetti
the
said
Yankees
that. I
are
don't want to
trying
steal his
to.
quote. But yeah, go on.
Okay, cool, but yeah, no, like I said, I don't like how the Yankees are trying to turn Boone into something that he's not, and they knew he's not. And if the Yankees don't win the World Series for the next 3 years, bro, I find it absolutely insane that you could hold on to a manager for how many seasons would it even be at that point? 9, 10,
Well, he's
where
6 in
you
now.
don't win a World Series, you keep riding with him, bro. I don't see it. So whether it's his fault or not, you can't go 10 seasons as Yankees manager and not win a World Series and continue to keep your job. It just doesn't happen.
You can't go 20 as GM without a World Series and not win, keep your job. That it all goes hand in hand.
But
And
am I advocating for Cashman's job though?
but I'm just saying
No, I think they should all
regarding
be gone.
around what I was saying last week. Boone, if Cashman were to go, Boone for sure. Everybody, you clean house. But as long as Cashman stays, there's no reason for Boone to go. And as for the bullpen decisions, I don't have a problem with the way Boone manages a bullpen. The lineup, in terms of the way he constructs it, I don't really have an issue with that. What I do have an issue with, and I don't believe this falls on Boone, I think this comes from, he may be in lockstep a little bit, I think this is an organizational philosophy that is to a fault, is the rest days. That's where there's a major, major issue. But I know, bro, Yankees get rid of Boone, bring somebody else in, it'll be, I don't want to say another puppet, because you're right. Boone has a lot to say. He still works as a manager. Once again, I don't have a big issue with the way he does a lot of things. But the organizational philosophy, if that doesn't change, it doesn't matter who's at the helm managing the game. You know what I'm saying? If the Yankees truly believe, okay, play a guy
No, but you're looking for
140
someone
games,
tougher now.
which is stupid to begin with. I think it's all hilarious. Like, it's, come on. I don't.
I know, but it's apparently it's true. Like that's what I think is
Yeah,
insane. Like
no,
you're
no, no.
looking for someone tougher with more discipline. That's not Aaron Boone.
I don't doubt the report. I don't doubt the report. I just think it's kind of pointless, to be honest with you, because I don't think Aaron Boone being tougher would lead this team to being better. That's truly just how I feel, honestly. I don't think Boone's a problem at all.
However,
And more I go into the offseason, dude, the more I defend Boone about this, because I get so pissed about what the roster became, that if Cashman's not going anywhere, Boone should never go anywhere. Like, say Cashman has a job for life through the end of this century, so should Aaron Boone. Because he's so hypocritical and so scapegoatish.
I don't think either one
I'm
should,
saying
though.
on principle more so. It's like, until Brian Cashman is gone, Boone shouldn't be going anywhere. That is my firm and final take on the whole thing.
Okay, but last thing I do want to say
Mm-hmm.
is I don't think like the Boone mentality thing. I'm not saying that's the reason the Yankees weren't good in 2023 at all. It was poor roster construction as to why they weren't successful. But I do think that like I want to be your best friend, like everyone gets hugs in the clubhouse, like no discipline, like that kind of thing. I think that's more hindering long term, specifically to like the maturation and development of young players. I think that that's something that you see more of over a long term period rather than on a season by season basis. I mean, we see it with guys like Gleyber Torres, right? Like the bro, it's impossible to come up with this hypothetical scenario. But like, if Girardi was Glaber's manager over this time period, like maybe we wouldn't see the lack of hustle or the defensive miscues
Fair.
or the base running problems like we would have. So I think that that's something that you could evaluate over a long term period rather than just like, oh, Boone was the reason in 2023. You
But
know,
it's not a Boone thing, though. That's the thing. I mean, Girardi being around would never add up because it's a philosophical, organization-wide situation. Like, Boone, you can't have Boone get tougher until you get tougher because it just won't work that way, which is why I'm saying,
fair, no,
like,
fair,
it's
for
like
sure.
you
It's an
get rid of Boone,
organizational
bro, you're
problem.
getting another guy who's just going to submit to what you want or be in lockstep, let's say, with, like, I'm not saying Boone isn't tough enough. I would agree with that probably, that Boone should be hard on the players, but he can't be unless the Yankees themselves want him to be harder on the players. And just in
Yeah,
general, I mean, it's like a minor league thing as well. I mean, I don't think it's, we have like some hard-nosed coaches down in like the farm system that are real tough on the players, and all of a sudden they get to the big leagues, and oh, they're coddled, all nice and warm, whatever. I think top to bottom, man, which, going back to my whole thing, unless Cashman goes, Boone shouldn't go either. It goes so beyond
yes,
him. It goes so beyond him
no,
that
no,
it's almost,
yeah.
it's turning me more and more into a Boone defender, which is not how I used to be. I feel like I used to be harder on Boone. Like, I've almost become an Aaron Boone apologist. I mean, I guess I never really went at him as much as other people did, but I'm certainly getting softer towards him because I almost kind of feel bad. And not that I should. It's part of his job is to take the heat and be the kind of like the face of whether it's the problems or like, the good things. But shit, man, he's really, in my opinion, getting kind of like an unfair shake in some regard when it's a much larger problem amongst the whole organization.
But I think it's really funny that you say like an organizational issue because I think it definitely is, right? Because these guys are coming up from the very bottom and going through the ranks, whether it's single A, double A, triple A, and then coming up to the big leagues. And I don't think that there's much discipline in any of them, right? I'm watching the postseason, and there's all these like killer rookies on these other teams, bro. And I look at the Yankees and I think to myself, I know it's something you disagree with, but I'm like, yo, when was the last homegrown like dog that the Yankees brought up, right? I feel like anytime the Yankees bring up someone from the minor leagues that's like homegrown, they're always kind of like a baby, like hee, like, oh, poor me. Like, and it feels like a coddled kind of thing, bro. Every dog that the Yankees get, like they're acquired from elsewhere. And I don't know. I just feel like other teams do a better job at player development and like player maturation better than the Yankees do.
Yeah, at least once they like sustainment at the big league level for sure. Because the Yankees are technically great, single A, double A, triple A, great players. Maybe first 2 weeks of the big leagues, and then shit falls apart pretty quick. I want to ask you real quick, like 1 minute.
Yeah.
There's talks of Buck Showalter got fired from the Mets, bringing him on as kind of like not a bench coach because we have, although he could be headed to Cleveland, Mendoza. But anyways, bringing on Buck Showalter as kind of a coach alongside Boone to. Not necessarily for the toughness side of things, but, some of the fundamentals, whether it's base running mistakes and just little things we see the Yankees do wrong that they clearly need to get right. Would you be opposed to bringing on Buck?
Not at all.
Me neither.
I actually like that because that's the first time I even heard that brought up as an idea.
Yeah.
I don't hate it at all. And I think that's kind of what the philosophy was with Phil Nevin coming in, right? Like Aaron Boone was going to be the manager, but Phil Nevin was going to be like that enforcer and kind of play like that old school manager role. And that ended up not working out too well because
They're different
Nevin wasn't
situations,
really
though. I
the
mean,
best
Nevin is
first base
still
coach.
pretty young. I mean, he got drafted when Buck was managing a team, so it's still a pretty big age difference. And more so just like, I mean, I'd be for it, is what I
So
would
Buck
say.
would be like the Don Zimmer.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. Yeah, no, very much so, I would say. And, he has, of course, Yankee ties. He was the manager before Girardi was. And I wouldn't be shocked if the Yankees at least hit him up this offseason.
I like that, Dan. I like that.
I didn't bring it up. And it's not even a rumor per se. It was Joel Sherman put out like an editorial piece, like just his opinion. The Yankees should do this. And I clicked on it kind of being a little – it screams to me like, oh, the Yankees should have Derek Jeter be their manager, that kind of thing. Like, old-timey head, that'll fix everything. But then you click on the actual article, and he, like, really listed it out. And it would make sense at least. Also, like, it can't hurt, of course. I mean, I don't think anybody thinks Buck is a bad baseball mind. Maybe he's a little bit too old to be the guy pulling the strings. But to be around, is he going to hurt a baseball player's development? No, absolutely not. And I wouldn't be shocked, if Buck has that burning edge in him. Like, say he became part of the Yankees coaching staff. I mean, he got screwed over big time. Remember, like, obviously he was the manager before Torre, and then Torre saw all the successes of a lot of what Buck was a part of developing in that 90s dynasty. I bet you a little bit Buck inside would love to kind of lead the Yankees to like to get him back to the glory a little bit. Like I wouldn't be shocked if that's something he'd be interested in doing. So I could see it happening. Is what I'm saying.
Yes, I would just be shocked if the Yankees were down for it because
You
it
think?
feels like an entirely different move from like the direction they're going in. Because I feel like Buck might be a combative source to Boone and the rest of the front office, right? And they might not like that. Like
Mm,
at some point, it might be undermining to Boone, where it's like, yo, you're bringing in this guy to be your bench
right.
coach and have all this experience and whatnot, and Boone's probably like, yo, I'm not listening to him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I'm the
So
manager.
yeah, that's actually funny you brought that up. So Jules Sherman did a whole couple paragraphs on that in the article, and it was talking about how you would have to establish quick, like, yo, you can offer any insight you
Yeah.
may have, but if you're met with rejection on a couple things, which obviously they would listen to what Buck would say, but if you're met with rejection, you got to understand what Boone says goes, like what we say goes. Like, you're not going to be the manager if you're brought on, but we want to get your opinion. And I'll say this. I would agree with you on the Yankees not wanting to go that direction of like an old-timey baseball head if they didn't last year bring on like Sabian and Manaea. I mean, they're clearly still trying. And I think that's something, too,
Sure.
in general, we'll see a little bit more this offseason, along with the – I mean, you got to do both. You got to have the strengthening of the analytics, which clearly is not good enough. You got to improve that department of the Yankees without question. But I believe we'll see some more like hirings the way we saw Andy Pettitte get brought on. I wouldn't be shocked if, I don't know, they'll offer Paul O'Neill like a little role. Like some shit type. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we also see some familiar faces from the old side of the game brought into the Yankees philosophy of doing things, along with strengthening the analytics. So you can't be like half pregnant with this shit. You gotta do both and do both well. You're the fucking Yankees, you know?
Yeah, no,
But
I agree,
yeah.
1000%. Yeah, let's get into topic number 3. Let's talk about Gleyber Torres a little
Yeah.
bit. We touched on him in topic number 2, but arbitration figures came out over the weekend. And Gleyber Torres is projected a little over $15 million in 2024. Obviously, if we were looking at Gleyber Torres on a team like the Brewers or the Diamondbacks or something, like he would all certainly be traded this offseason to kind of shed a little bit of money before he heads into free agency. But do we think it's realistic for the Yankees to kind of look at Gleyber Torres and be like, yo, he's projected to make $15 million next year. We're unsure if we're going to be looking at a long-term deal for him after this season. Is it worth it to kind of shop him around, see what you could get, and maybe not even hurt the 2024 Yankees?
Yeah, I would say if I had a prediction, I think he does get traded. Now, yeah, so he's making 15.3 or set to. This is like the projected, which MLB Trade Rumors is a source of this. They're always pretty dead on. So, yeah, over 15 mil he'll be making. Real quick, some other guys that I think could very likely be non-tender, just to name some names. Lou Trevino, of course, we acquired him in the 2022 trade deadline from the A's. He's good. Got hurt, though, and he's set to make over $4 million this year. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets non-tendered. Franchi Cordero, he's making 1.6. He'll be gone. Domingo Germán, 4.4 million. A lot of people think he'll be gone. I now do as well. Kyle Higashioka, 2.3 million. I think he gets traded because you're probably looking at a tandem of Wells and Trevino next year. McKinney, Bowers, of course, Jimmy Cordero, he's probably gone. So Yankees can definitely clear some salary in the non-tender side of things. As for Gleyber, it's unfortunate to say this, but I do believe he gets traded. And why it's unfortunate is because the Yankees are still technically operating off a budget. Now, not that they're going to try to reset the tax this year. There's no chance in hell, because to reset the tax, they would have to get below $237 million on the payroll. With all these arbitration guys, before non-tenders and pre-arb salaries, or with pre-arb salaries and these arbitration salaries, they're at already like 250 going into the offseason. And you look at the money they're going to need to spend to get a Bellinger plus a Yamamoto and to be able to add payroll. A lot goes into this, which I'll explain in the blueprint. But bottom line is the Yankees, to improve this team the way they need to, and knowing he has just 1 year left to control, I think Gleyber and his $15 million are out the door. I wouldn't be shocked if it's to the Seattle Mariners, team that he's been linked to in the past as wanting, and they need some infield help. It sucks. It really, really does. Especially it's kind of counterproductive. Like, the Yankees need offense. Why are you going to get rid of our second best offensive hitter? But it's kind of like a lose the battle to win the war situation. If you get rid of Gleyber and that leads into getting, okay, you have Brendan Donovan as replacement 1 year Gleyber Torres, or 5 years of Donovan, who's just as good of a hitter, as I talked about earlier, from the left side, plays all over the place. You replace Gleyber with Donovan, that's your leadoff hitter, and then also freeing up that salary can lead to getting a Yamamoto plus a Bellinger and being able to, stay within the Yankees' budget. And I'm not trying to, or Soto, yeah, hell yeah, my man. I'm not trying to cry poor about the Yankees. You just know, like, they're gonna operate off a budget one way or another. Like, the way the luxury tax works is, This year, the first year is 237, then 257, 277, 297. At first, I thought the Yankees were going to stay under 277 because if you stay under 277, you don't lose the 10 picks in the draft. Going over 277 pushes their 2024 pick back 10 slots. But looking into this whole situation, there's just no way you can significantly improve the team, which I'll go over this whole thing in my blueprint. There's no way you could stay under that number and still improve the team. So I think 297 is a figure they'll try to stay under, which if you want to do that and get those guys, you're going to have to trade Gleyber, which sucks. Yeah. But like I said, it's kind of a lose the battle to win the war situation. He has 1 year left control. He's awesome. And it has nothing to do with him, the player, at least on my side of things. It's just business, I guess you could say. So I do believe Gleyber gets traded, yes.
Yeah. I'd probably have to agree with you just because I've kind of been in the boat for a while where I don't view Gleyber Torres as getting a massive extension and being a Yankee for life. I think the only way you do keep him after this offseason is if that's in your mind, right? Like giving Gleyber Torres an extension and kind of even viewing that as a realistic possibility. And if the Yankees trade him, it's obvious that he's not coming back, right? I don't see it being as one of those things where they trade Gleyber to the Mariners, then he becomes a free agent and the Yankees are interested. That's surely not happening.
And he'd be butthurt as a motherfucker too. He wouldn't want to come back.
Bro, 1,000%. And I'm going to be honest, like if we do go through this offseason and there's like serious Gleyber rumors, and he ends up not getting traded, it's going to be bad. Just in terms of just the relationship with the organization and kind of just like, bro, like, what are we doing now? Because now we're going to lose Gleyber Torres at the end of the season and not get anything for him. So, yeah, especially when you're looking at that $15 million that he's making and you bring up a guy like Brendan Donovan, who could bring you, I mean, equivalent value, potentially even better over these next couple years than Gleyber Torres could. I don't hate the idea at all. And I know we're the New York Yankees and we shouldn't really be operating under like best bang for your buck, but that's how they do operate. And I don't hate that idea of replacing Gleyber Torres with Brendan Donovan, using their logic. But yeah, I mean, losing Gleyber's bat in the middle of the lineup would suck. However, like maybe you could improve defensively. Maybe you improve base running wise, which whether or not you think that that's a great value or not, that's up to you.
Yep.
But yeah, I think also what Yankees fans need to realize is, like you said, it's business. And I've seen more people complaining on Twitter about people wanting Gleyber Torres traded than I've seen people actually saying they want Gleyber Torres traded. It feels like Yankee fans have gotten so angry and upset over these past couple months over Gleyber trade rumors and being like, how could the Yankees even consider doing this? I think they're just not looking at the big picture and how 2024 might not be the year for the Yankees, right? But 2025 might be, 2026 might be. And if they play their cards right this offseason and next offseason and every offseason following, the Yankees could put themselves in a really, really good position to be the best team in baseball in the next couple of years. And I think trading Gleyber Torres potentially gets them closer to that goal than holding on to him for 2024 and letting him walk in free agency.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. It all really does stem around getting Donovan, because if you don't replace him, and let me just say this, say you trade Gleyber and the plan is to have the replacement be Oswald Peraza, then it's kind of like, all right, what are we doing here? Because you're not improving. But knowing that, I mean, at least under my plan, you go out and get Donovan, not only have you like kind of canceled out the loss of Gleyber, like you said, you're kind of getting better, plus freeing up salary to go out and make other moves. So it's, for me, it's a lot more of just that, the finances of things and just business. Once again, him, the player, I mean, I'll celebrate him one more time. He had a great year this past season. He had an 800 OPS, 25 homers. I mean, we can confidently say, and this is nice to be able to say because the only other guy was Judge, he's a success out of the baby Bombers. I know he's not technically homegrown, but he might as well be. I mean, he played single A for the Cubs. Besides that, he was ours. So I'll be sad leaving or seeing Gleyber go. But sometimes shit just has to be done, Pat. And that's the situation we're in here, bro. Are you gonna watch my blueprint on Thursday? I think it'll be Thursday. I have the whole script written out, everything completely outlined. Just got to record it after I finish recording the show. Thursday, you're gonna watch? It's detailed, bro.
No.
You're gonna watch. What the hell? You have to watch.
Obviously I'm gonna watch. Yes. Bro. How long is it gonna be? Do you have like a time frame in mind?
Hopefully no longer than 15 minutes. But the past couple years they've been right around like 10 minutes or so. But each year I go more and more in depth with the finances and stuff because you really got to get in there. I'm not gonna lie,
bro. I really enjoy your off-season blueprints every year just because I think that it's so it's so funny looking back on because it's like, yo, dude, this kid's absolutely delusional when we look at it at the end of the offseason. But I think it's crazy because when you first view it or when you first make it at the beginning of the offseason, everything feels so realistic and feels so doable into turning the Yankees into an absolute juggernaut.
Yep.
But then you kind of realize, yo, this
Then
is
the Yankees be the Yankees, bro. Which,
yeah.
yo, I posted the other day on Yankees Ave. You see that shit, which I know we already know about. I'll throw it up on the screen. The 6 outfielders, too much. Can't get Bryce Harper. Can't get Bryce Harper.
Let's talk about that real
Topic
quick.
4. Let's do something.
Something Yeah, topic number 4. This is kind of just going to be a MLB playoffs check-in, talk about everything going on in the league, but specifically, bro, the Philadelphia Phillies are, well, by the time this episode comes out, they may or may not have won game
2.
Are you frozen? I think we all know I'm kind of like a adopted Phillies fan for the postseason. By the time this episode comes out, they may or may not be up 2-0 on the Braves. They in the NLDS, we'll see. But yeah, obviously, every single postseason, it feels like, at least the past 2 years, we keep coming back to that quote where the Yankees basically didn't even give Bryce Harper a look in free agency. The whole 6 outfielders thing, him playing first base isn't realistic, and
Which is
Bryce
exactly
Harper
what he's
coming
doing
out
for
and
the
being
Phillies this year, is it not? Playing first base.
exactly, exactly, and Bryce Harper coming out and being like, "Yo, everyone knew I grew up as a Yankee fan. Like I was down to talk to them. They didn't even give me a call." And every season we come back to it, and every season it hurts me just a little bit more because it makes me realize how Brian Cashman still has a job, dude. Looking at one of the best players in Major League Baseball, one of the faces of Major League Baseball, not giving him a conversation when he wants to come to your team, and using the excuse of having guys like Clint Frazier and Aaron Hicks over that is blasphemous, and it makes me hurt every single year.
Dude, it's horrible. And, yo, not even just Aaron Hicks. And somebody was trying to roast Brett Gardner as well. I mean, dude, Jacoby Ellsbury was one of those outfielders as well. Coming off of 2018, mind you. Not just – and if it were following 2017, which he technically played and finished the year kind of strong, that would have been blasphemous. But, no, yo, this was after Ellsbury missed a whole year. This is where it really started for him to, like, turn into, like, the Mr. Disappearance. He was just nowhere to be found. And Brian Cashman still considered him one of the reasons why you shouldn't go out and get Bryce Harper. A Bryce Harper who – mind you, was 25 years old. I always talk about this with, big free agent deals because a lot of people assume, a 10-year deal or in Harper's case, a 13-year deal, that's automatic bad news. No, the perfect example is you look at Alex Rodriguez, did his 2 10-year deals. The first one, he signed at 26. It was a great deal. Would have taken him through 36 years old. Was obviously one of the best players of all time through that age. He opted out at 32, ended up signing another one. That was a horrible deal. That second 10-year deal, 32 through 42, or say Albert Pujols' 10-year deal at 32. Robinson Cano at 31. I mean, those are the deals. When you sign them and their age starts at 3, you're a moron for the most part. Harper, though, was 25 and was only being paid is $25 million a year. 13 years, $330 million. And we know who the Yankees were paying $25 million a year to this year and last year. Josh Donaldson, IKF as well. Dude, it's horrible. It really, really is, especially when you know that he said, man, my 2 goals, make the Hall of Fame and play in pinstripes. There's a picture of him looking at Mickey Mantle's number in Monument Park, his number 7, just staring at it. It looks like a picture, bro, that I would take if I were on the verge of being drafted, or I thought one day I had a legitimate shot at being in the big leagues, and I'm going to be in the Yankees like, oh, this is my destiny. Kind of like, dramatizing your life a little bit. That's what this picture was. The writing was on the wall. This dude wanted to be a Yankee, and Brian Cashman fucked it up big time. Very, very big time. And you can't blame Stanton. You can't blame Stanton. You can't. The New York Yankees, they can – it's what I've always said. Like, when I made that video a few years ago now, that trading for Giancarlo Stanton was a mistake, it wasn't even anything to do with Giancarlo. It was always – this was the line I would use. It was a mistake if you were going to let it financially handcuff you. And that's what the Yankees did. Because Cashman also pointed to that, the fact that, you go out and get Giancarlo, and that's why you don't get Harper. That is something that will haunt us possibly for the rest of our lives. I mean, the same way there was the curse of the Bambino and other curses. Like, there might be the curse of Harper, bro. Like, for all we know, bro, I'm almost certain we would have won a World Series. We would have. And talk about a player that has dog.
I agree.
How about if he was the 1A to Aaron Judge?
Unreal. No, it's unreal, and I think that's why I love Harper so much, bro. He went to Philly, and he took over that
He's their fucking
city.
guy.
Bryce Harper is he's the man. He took a franchise that was really in the gutters, bro. Like, let's not forget the Phillies were perennial just mid, right? Like every single season they were the 3rd place team, and obviously it's not just his doing, but he really revived that city. And bro, the Philly. I mean, let's talk about Philly a little bit. Obviously, I went there for wild card series game one, and bro, it's such a fun atmosphere, and we saw the crowd there too. I mean, it's so electric, bro. And I will say, I bought a Harper shirt. You might be mad at me about that. I don't really care. It's like a light blue shirt, and it says Philly on the front, and on the back it says Harper 3. Bro, it's a real gem.
Yeah,
But yeah, I will say, Bryce Harper is probably the most fun player in baseball, and I think the Yankees can use the mistake that they made in not pursuing him and put it to action now by looking at Juan Soto, right? Like, don't make the same mistake twice
right.
and let the second Bryce Harper get away. So I think the one way they could redeem it is by going out and getting Soto. That's the only way they could
I don't even
slightly
know if that
redeem
fully
this
redeemed.
formula.
Yeah, slightly. Like, it would help, and that's a good point by you. Like, learn from your mistakes, go out and get Soto. You know, the Harper jersey, it's funny thinking back on this, bro. I have a Harper jersey somewhere in my closet because I thought it was a Nationals at the time. I thought, yo, future Yankee, and I was cool wearing it. I was like, yo, he's a future Yankee. Like, this is the one non-Yankee baseball shirt I'll wear. On Philly real quick, bro, and this is what kind of makes it all the more painful. I have nothing against them. It's just see where Harper's gone. They're going to go to the World Series again, bro. They just have that, I don't want to say that magic about them. I know it's cliche and corny as hell, but they do. You can just tell it. They're a team of destiny, borderline. And I think they're going to beat the Braves again. Who are they facing?
I
What
hope
do we
so.
got? What's the other NLCS right now? We got how about Kershaw getting spanked again, bro?
Uh,
God damn,
Dodgers,
that's
Diamondbacks,
tough.
yeah.
Yeah, D-backs are pretty legit too. But yeah, I feel like the Phillies are they're gonna beat the Braves. Definitely could see them getting past the Dodgers, who may not even make it to the CS the way their pitching staff is shaping up. So I would think they beat
Yeah.
the Braves. The Phillies are cool. No, they're a cool ass team, and like their energy is nuts. I mean, I don't think it's much better than ours, to be honest. Like, if you get to ours, like us in the playoffs, and not to mention, like, they have been starved for a good while. I kind of equate it to, like, us in 2017, 2018, or whatever. You've been gone for a good while. You look at last year, too. I mean, like, and Philly fans would know how they are. Like, it is an electric-ass crowd, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm ready to kind of watch a little bit of this postseason now. Like I was saying in the beginning, if with the Jays out, Rays out, O's, if they can get swept, which would just be awesome, I need the Twins. And I want to shout out Carlos Correa. I need the Twins to beat the Astros. Carlos Correa is one of the most badass motherfuckers of all time. And this comes at a point where my hatred of the Astros is peaking again because PBS Dateline or PBS, I forget what it is, but PBS put out a documentary. They do great documentaries. It's like the only time I really get into politics is when they do these documentaries, like stuff on whatever, like so many like presidencies. They did a documentary on the fucking Astros cheating scandal, and I watched that shit. Got my juices flowing again. Total bullshit. I can't stand him, obviously. But with that said, it pains me even more because Carlos Correa, like, I don't want to hate him. It's hard for me to still hate him now because, boys, he might be the most, like, not production-wise, essentially, obviously, because like, that would be Judge or, I've been alive for Barry Bonds, whatever. But in terms of impact player, just with their skill set, intuition, knowing how to play fucking baseball, Carlos Correa might be number one, man. I mean, holy shit. And the fact that every single year he steps it up, that's another thing that's a shame, man. I mean, you look at that 2021 offseason, like how many free agents have the Yankees? Like, it was pretty much, it was Stanton, and that was that. And then Cole, but that's on the pitching end of things. We got Stanton, and it just seemed like the Yankees felt, okay, that's our big splash for the next decade. We don't got to do nothing else. I mean, you go past Correa too, bro. How nice would it have been if we had Seager? And it doesn't mean you had to get rid of Volpe. No, Volpe could have been
Yeah.
your second baseman, yo. Seager batted like 340 this year, dog. Seager hit like
I
had a
know.
1.0
With like
OPS.
a 1,000 OPS.
He had a 6 WAR in 120 games. I mean, the fuck? I remember when Seager was
Yeah.
a free agent,
And
dog. I remember it was like, this is the guy the Yankees are going to end up getting. And that was the last time I kind of assumed the Yankees like truly were like going to get it. Because I still believe like you're the Yankees. And I guess this year I kind of am now too, just because, after a season like last year. But it's like, yo, like what happened to us, dog? How do we not end up with any of these guys? How do we not get fucking Harper? How do we not get Correa or get Corey Seager? You know what I'm saying? It's the postseason
yeah.
is very torturous for me to watch. That's why I don't get too into it. So I need all these teams to get bouncing than I can, but
Yeah, no, it's sad for sure, and I see where you're coming from. Because don't get me wrong, like I said, I was in Philly. They have like this cool place outside the stadium. It's like called Xfinity Live, where it was just kind of like Billy's, I guess, where it's like a
or
massive bar and there's a bunch of people watching the game. And bro, I was like having a good time until it was maybe like the third inning, and I realized like, yo, I wish this was the Yankees playing right now, bro. And
yeah.
it's so sad that like we're not there and we don't get to have those
It's like
postseason
getting a
vibes.
lap dance from a
But
stripper. It's not
okay.
yours. It's only
Um,
temporary.
but I do want to talk about Correa real quick, just because I think you and I both know the past two off seasons, I was probably the biggest advocate for bringing Carlos
Yeah.
Correa to the
Oh yeah.
Bronx, just because it's so evident what he provides on the field. Bro, get the medical stuff out of here, right? Like the ankle, the hip, whatever you want to look at. When it comes down to crunch time and when it comes down to the biggest moments, bro, Carlos Correa didn't have a great 2023 season at all. And that's why it's so annoying when I see people compare like Volpe to Correa this season, right? Because what I know deep down in my heart and what we've seen over the past couple years, when it comes down to the big games, when it matters the most, Carlos Correa is the guy I want up to bat. Same thing, same way I view Stanton, bro. Correa can have a 600 OPS through 100 games this year. I'm still relying on him in October and counting on him to give me those crucial postseason at bats. Bro, he walked into Houston and he's had two of the most insane games I've ever seen
Yeah.
from an opposing player at Minute Maid Park. And also defensively too. Did you see the diving play with the cannon
To end the game? Nuts. It's
to
insane. I
end
mean,
the game, bro?
that reminds me of.
It's
I mean, this has
insane.
always been a comp, but like A-Rod when he was a fucking like the best shortstop in the game, like that throw he had in the hole. I mean, nuts.
Yeah, and that's why it's weird because skill set wise, like Carlos Correa can easily be the best player in the league. But what really stands out to me is that mentality, bro. Dude, he'll get a single, a 2-run single in the top of the fourth to give the Twins a 4-0 lead, let's say. Bro, he's at first base screaming at the dugout, bro. He is the leader of that team. And personally, I think he's the leader of any team you put him on, bro. And not captain, but I think leader is a lot different because you put Carlos Correa on the New York Yankees, he becomes an instant spark plug, bro.
You know what?
And
Too.
I don't want to hear people be
Go on. No, go on. Sorry.
no,
Go on.
I was gonna say I don't want to hear people like compare it to Donaldson where it's like, well, you wanted a guy with edge, you got a guy like with edge, bro. Donaldson was pushing 40, dude. Carlos Correa, I still view him as kind of in the prime of his career, and I think that's something that the Yankees have missed with this core, and I think that's one of the main reasons we haven't necessarily seen them take that next step is because I feel like they're missing that dog, they're missing that clubhouse lightning bolt, and they're missing just that guy who's going to show up no matter what and feed off of the big moment.
It's
And
kind of that
Stanton
villain
has
energy
been
a
that
little
guy,
bit.
sure. Yes, that, and that's, bro, that's exactly why I was advocating for Correa to the Bronx so hard because that makes them the evil empire again. Like the Yankees needs a player like that to make them villains again, and they just that's kind of what they've been missing. But yeah, shout out to Carlos Correa, dude, one of the greatest postseason players of all time.
Yeah, and dude, I mean, if there's really something to get upset about, it's not so much this contract that he signed with the Twins, because there was when two teams drop it after he had a 12-year deal on the table with the Giants, with the Mets, injuries. I get being a legit concern, but
I
how
wore
about
your shirt by the way last night.
Oh, what the Mets Correa one? Yo, so
It was Giants, yeah.
Oh right, my bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just when I was moving out of the boat, my big Elvis thing, my the one that you got me for Christmas. My parents were like, "What the hell is this?" I'm like, "It's fucking Elvis." Pat got it for me, and they know who you are and shit. Anyways, dude, how about his first deal he signed with the Twins? I mean, why aren't the Yankees in on that? He signed what was it? A
It was
3-year
equal
deal
to
with an
what
opted
Donaldson.
after one.
Yeah.
It was and okay, I'm glad you brought that up. I want to touch
Bro,
on that.
we
Which,
allowed them to make that deal, bro.
yeah, I know.
We allowed them.
Yo, that reminds me of one of your streams, bro. You standing up like that, getting all pissed. But one thing that's kind of concerning a little bit on topic of Donaldson. I wonder if, and by the way, what's hilarious too is Judge would have fucking ended up loving Correa. I feel like, by the way, just because of the desire to win. Like you think like,
Yeah.
and this is probably I said at the time too. Like Judge isn't about it. I'm not sure if it's gonna happen. Who knows if that was part of it? I don't know. I think he would have ended up loving him. But what I was gonna say.
Look at Colin Donaldson, bro. Like
Donaldson lost his aura almost immediately when he came to the Yankees. Now, you could say that's because he was ass, which he was, sure. But I just wonder, do the Yankees allow that? Like, would Carlos Correa have that same energy in the Yankee clubhouse? Or is it one of those things where you kind of just show up around a crowd you don't feel like your vibe meshes with, and all of a sudden you kind of like turtle into a shell? I don't know. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm only bringing this up because if that is true, then that is a problem. Like, you can't be, and I don't get as gung-ho crazy, like, oh, the Yankees got to have more attitude, they got to have more fun, because a lot of that is crap to me. Like, I don't really care. We need good players, which is why I would want Correa first. Like, first things first, he's a fucking good-ass player. Let's get him on the team. But it would concern me that, like, the idea of would the Yankees kind of, like, make Carlos Correa dull down his energy a little bit, which you could not have. Like, you do got to have somebody come in here. I don't know who that is and who's left, but Yeah, we could use a little bit more dog. I agree. I've said that before, too, about with Judge. I mean, it's not Judge's fault at all. I mean, you go back to whether it's a conversation of Jeter and Posada, where Jeter was the captain, Posada was the enforcer. I think Judge kind of needs that right now. And in some senses, it's Stanton at times, but that's also tough to do when you're fucking struggling the way he is. I'll say this, too, about the whole, like, showing up in the playoff. I think it's one of the most badass traits you could have. Especially when you struggle. And, like, last year when Stanton had a bad second half, and everybody's like, will he show up in the playoffs? Will he show up in October? And then, like, first game of the ALDS or second game, he hits, like, 2 big homers in the ALDS, and it's like, fuck yeah, of course he should. Like, that is one of the most bad. And, like, for Correa here, the fact that he struggled so mightily, and it was almost a sure thing. Everybody knew, okay, but come October, this dude's going to ball out. And, of course, he's balling out. I mean, it's bad as a sell. The pickoff play to get Vlad's fat ass, which was one of the best moments of the season, bro. And Vlad going like, no, I'm safe. No, I'm safe. Like, shut the fuck up. No, you're not. Time to get on home. And did you like my tweet, by the way? Come have a seat on my couch. It's warm.
Yeah. Well, I think you kind of know where I stand on that. Like, I'm not actively rooting against any team this postseason.
All right, sure. But, if it ends up being the thing
to do so,
where, okay, if no ALE's team wins a playoff game this year, that would be pretty fucking nice. Admit that. If the Orioles, Rays, and Jays don't win I do. No, I do. There's rivalry, too. No, I think I'm bigger on the rivalries than you. Like, I have a burning hatred for the Houston Astros. Like, if there's a team I'm rooting the hardest for right now, it is the Twins. Mostly because of the Astros, but also I'll say this, yo. It would be nice to get a random-ass World Series matchup like that. If we got, like, say, Phillies. Well, Phillies, I guess, isn't as random, obviously. But, like, Phillies-Twins would be fucking hype. Or Twins-D-backs. Or Phillies-Rangers. Something along those lines. Like, I need to...
Phillies-Rangers would bring me back.
To what?
It feels like such, like, an early 2010s matchup.
Oh, well, yeah, because... Yeah, I mean, 2010 ALCS... So the Phillies were in the ALCS in 2010 as well, so it almost was. Yeah, I remember that being a thing. In 2010, it was, will there be a rematch of Yankees-Phillies? We were playing the Rangers. They ended up beating us.
Yeah.
Giants ended up beating the Phillies. But anyways, I don't have it anyways. That would just be cool, I feel like. This postseason is gaining my forgiveness, Pat. I just need a couple more things to happen. I need the fucking Astros to get bounced. I need the Rangers to finish off the O's. Yo, how do you feel about, like, you see Hicks going off, Monty doing well? Does that, like, sting you at all?
Okay, see? You know, one thing I did want to say, I was going to admit this before he got roughed up in game 2. Mm-hmm. Like, I was a little bit wrong about Jordan Montgomery. Like, he has a little bit of dog in him. And I know, like, game 2 against the Orioles wasn't good at all. But, yeah, no, I think bearded Monty it's good, bro. Shout out Jordan Montgomery.
Dude,
I think it would have been nice to hold on to him instead of Vader.
This is the only thing that irritates me a little bit. People will be like, oh, the Yankees fail Montgomery, goes to some other team, he's pitching. Like, okay, let's not act like Jordan Montgomery wasn't good with us. He was. And it's not like he's been that much better post-Yankees career. He's been maybe a smidge better while also dominating the playoffs, which ultimately, gets you a lot of celebrations, whatever. But, yo, Monty, he pitched well for us in the playoffs before. He had that big start, Game 4 against the Rays in 2020. And, yo, the trade last year, like, it made sense to me. I still don't think Monty was not going to start in the playoffs last year. Like, it's not a ridiculous thing for the Yankees to have said. I mean, at the time, it was going to be a rotation of, I'm trying to call back here, but what was it? It was Cole, Nestor, Montas, Sevy, and you still also, on top of that, had you had Tyone as well, who at that time you could probably say was over Monty. So it's not like we got to roast the Yankees for every little thing. And you got to get Harrison Bader. At that time, he was supposed to be the fucking 9-hitter. And it's just, in some ways, some things don't work out. I don't look at the Monty trade as like, oh, the Yankees failed. Because also, if we didn't make that trade, does having Jordan Montgomery get us to the playoffs this year? No. So it's just one of those things, if you want to be like upset about seeing another Yankee succeed, which I more so have. Now with Hicks, on the other hand, that is a bad look. Because I didn't really know. I knew Hicks once he left us, or once we DFA'd him, like the first 2 or 3 weeks he was going off. I thought he fell off kind of significantly after that. I know he had an injury, but I thought like he just wasn't doing as good. Dog had literally an over 800 OPS with Baltimore this year. And then I see him, he had like a 3-run jack in the game, what was it, game 2, had a nice 2-run single to lead off in game 1 or whatever the order was, I don't know. Hicks performing as well as he is, that is a bad look. I don't think anything to do with Monty's a bad look.
For who? For the Yankees?
Yeah, I don't think Monty's a bad look. I think Hicks is a bad look.
Well, I feel like everything I've seen on Twitter is people kind of being like, yo, screw Aaron Hicks. I'm happy for Aaron Hicks, bro. And this is kind of something that, going back to what we said initially, like, I'm always happy for Yankees when they leave. Like, I can't remember the last Yankee that left the team and succeeded elsewhere. I was like, oh, screw him, bro. I want to see Aaron Hicks do well. And yeah, it's a nice story, bro. Yeah,
Sonny
that's
too.
all
I
I
mean,
really have to
Sonny's
say
we're
about
well
it.
removed from him, but Sonny, I'm happy to see Sonny
Yeah,
do well. And yo, if Sonny were a badass motherfucker, and it wouldn't work financially, but um, if Sonny Gray were a badass motherfucker that like really wanted to conquer a challenge, I would love for him at some point, and not yet, because he's probably gonna get a bag this year, but say in a few years, to be like, yo, I want to conquer the challenge of the New York Yankees, like once and for all. And with Matt Blake being here and not Larry Rothschild, I mean, we kind of all know like it wasn't really Sonny's fault why he went wrong. And in part, maybe it was he,
yeah,
like, when you're struggling as bad as he did, maybe he did get the yips towards the end. But everybody always forgets when they say Sonny couldn't handle New York. Dog threw 5 scoreless innings against the Astros in the ALCS that 2017. The game 4 where we came back, the Judge double, Gary double, whatever it was. Sonny pitched
yeah,
that game. He pitched well. So I mean, it's not a thing of where he got the yips. I mean, it just he wasn't handled properly. They tried to have him throw his slider way too much and didn't really have the. We're getting better at this, but it was a big issue for a long time, and it still kind of shows where the Yankees lack in analytics. Sonny talked about that after he left. The Yankees just weren't up to speed. And CC, when he was having this, I think it was actually on a podcast with Trevor Bauer. It may have been on R2C2 a few years later. But CC was saying to him, it was around probably 2020, like right before COVID. He was like, yo, Sonny, if you were around now with the shit that we have, you would have fucking thrived. But at that time, and this is not still, even though it's fixed now, let's say, it's not a good thing. It's just the Yankees lack behind. They were severely lacking behind and didn't have what the Yankees needed. And a big part of where it got fixed was getting Cole on board. Because Cole was like, yo, we need this shit. And since he said that, a lot of that has happened. But yeah, seeing Sonny do well is cool. I'm low key, bro. Like not in the way you are with the Phillies, not by any means. I'm kind of on the Twins train a little bit. Like I'm in part because they're playing the Astros,
okay.
but also, you know, Plouffe, big fan of Trevor Plouffe. He's big into the Twins, and they're a fun team. They're new, they're exciting. Correa, I can like root for. It's nice to be able to root for Correa, kind of as I was saying. So sure, dude, the playoffs are kind of on my good side again. Like I'm gonna watch a little bit tonight. I think.
Nice, nice.
You
Well,
know.
I mean, yeah, by the time we end tonight recording, game 2 of the NLDS is going to be over. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm
Well, we
looking
got
forward to seeing where
Well,
things go.
I won't go into fucking matchups because people are going to see this till Tuesday morning. But yo,
Yeah.
is that an episode, dude? Um,
Oh wait, before we do wrap things up, do you want to make predictions for who's advancing to the ALCS and NLCS?
sure. Well, yeah. Okay.
So like give me like your ALCS matchup and your NLCS matchup.
So ALCS, I am going to go with, and this is in part rooting, part prediction. Twins Orioles, or no, excuse me, Twins Rangers. Rangers are already up 2-0, so I'm assuming they're going to finish it off. I'm sure the O's will get one game, but I have Rangers, and then I'm rooting so hard for the Twins that I'm just going to kind of will it into existence. So, yeah, AL, I got Rangers Twins.
AL, I got Rangers Astros. As much as I do want the Twins to win, I bro, Houston always finds a way to pull it
Yeah,
out.
no, fair enough. Maybe we should just do the rest of our bracket here. And then NLCS, I'm going to go Phillies D-backs, and that'll give us I'll just go right to my World Series. I think we're going to have a Twins Phillies.
Yeah, I got Phillies D-backs as well. Simply because I think people are gonna know what happens by the time they see it. But I think game 2 tonight, Zach Gallen, bro, I think he's gonna shut the Dodgers down. They're gonna go back to Arizona with a 2-0 lead, and that's gonna be it. But yeah, and then World Series, I got Phillies Astros rematch.
Really?
And I think the Phillies win it. I think the Phillies win it.
See, I hope that. I mean, I'm down for the Phillies to win, of course. I don't want the Astros back in. I don't want a rematch. I want something new. Like I will watch all 7 games. Probably.
Same.
If you give me Phillies Twins, I might. I know you're not rooting for that. That's your prediction. I'm just saying, like I really hope that doesn't happen. But obviously, I could see it. But the Phillies are better this year than the Astros. And that's the thing that really, I've said this a lot, I feel like,
Yeah.
but just how open the AL was this year. I mean, there's no clear threat. I mean, even the Orioles did, which, hell, I'll kind of go back to my take that I had, or we were almost going to have after the first 2 games of that Yankees-Orioles series. The O's aren't that fucking special, dog. I mean, like, you look at their pitching. I like Grayson Rodriguez a lot. I've met the
I
dude
know.
via Zoom on
He's
Tom
not
the
a game
Slab.
2 starter.
Exactly. And even who was their game 1? I mean, was it like, it wasn't Gibson, was it?
It was oh my
I
God.
forget.
I should
But
know this. Who was their game 1 starter, bro?
I don't know. I'll check real quick before we get out of here.
Okay, but that's kind of my thing. If he's not like good enough to even remember off the top of your head, like that's a problem.
Yeah. Let's see. What was that? Game 1. That must have been Saturday. Bradish. That's not the Bradish. Obviously, that sounds familiar. Is that one
Kyle
fucking? Oh, him.
Bradish.
Yeah. So I mean, he had a solid year. He had a 2.83, 12-7. But still, like he's
Yeah,
not a
but he
dog,
doesn't
obviously,
jump
and
off
he's
the page.
right.
Yeah.
No, exactly. So I mean, the Orioles know their issues, and like they're gonna have to probably. I don't know why the fan base fucking brags about being
Also,
28th in
wait,
payroll. It pisses me off.
Bro, talking about the Rangers, Andrew friggin' Heaney too, bro, starting game 1 of the ALTS.
Did
Shout
he?
out to him.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know that.
Yes.
I didn't really watch.
Yeah, shout out to him, bro.
Orioles Rangers has been the series I'm following on like the least. I just know the O's are down, but not good for him. Good for Heaney. There was another player too I wanted to shout out. I forget who it was, but anyways, that's gonna be that good episode. We should let you all know that for the next kind of like a wishy-washy schedule a little bit. So in theory, we are going to be taking the next week or two off, but that is until Brian Cashman's press conference, which should have already happened or be any week now. So it could be as soon as, say, it's fucking Monday. We'll be back Tuesday. So we're kind of just waiting on that.
Yeah.
Just because, nothing really goes down in while the postseason's going on. So barring any crazy news or big reports, big stories, until that Cashman presser, which once again should be fucking any day, any week now, that'll be the next episode following that. But, yeah, man. Good episode today. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, great episode, actually.
Yeah.
Final thoughts is, no. I have no final thoughts. I'm just looking for, bro, my final thought is this. As much as I appreciate the postseason right now, like I said, it does make me sad that the Yankees aren't in it, but also it makes me sad thinking, like, what the hell are we going to do once the postseason's over? And it's a very sad thought.
Same shit I'm doing right now, watching my quarterback continue to develop. Zach Wilson to the fucking moon.
Oh,
in a good way.
Oh, brother.
I guess to the moon's usually a bad saying. Yo, Jets took a big W, 2-3 now. Don't count us out. We're taking on the Eagles next week. Blueprint is out later this week. I'm banking on Thursday. Could be sooner, could be a day later, but no later than Thursday or Friday. And, yeah, all right. That's about it. It was cold as hell out today. Like, we were officially in fall. I like that shirt. Very nice, very nice.
Thank you.
Is that an actual player, or is that just like a Joe Random default?
That's Jeter.
Oh, really? Okay, excuse me. I'm sorry. I guess, yeah, I do see it. Sorry, we're over Zoom here.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know who Derek Jeter is, bro. You don't got to roast me, all right? See you guys next time. Let's go Yankees.
Oh, wait, bro. We didn't do socials.
Oh, socials. Where can they find you, Pat?
I think that might be the only time we've never done social. I mean, it's not a big deal at this point.
Pat, where can they follow you on social media, please?
Weird.
No, I wanted. Well, you brought it up.
TikTok, Twitter, @unhingedpatrick, Instagram @truehennessy. How about you, Dan?
Dan I Rourke on Twitter. Dan I Rourke on Instagram. Yankees Avenue on Instagram. Yankees Avenue here on YouTube. No, I'm glad you brought it up. It's a fucking fundamental part of the show. My whole night would have been thrown off if you didn't bring that up. So, all right, we'll see you guys next time. Let's go Yankees.